Hey everybody, welcome to the lore of Magnetti with me, your host, Uncle Magnetti. So, before we start this video, I just want to apologize for it being so late. So, this is probably the fourth time I've attempted to record it. I've gotten all the way through a few times now, but every single time when I go to upload, all of the audio tracks ended up being deleted. I suspect that Cherub wasn't happy with how the video sounded. So here we go again, hopefully for the fourth and final time. So I would like to just express how grateful I am for all the love and support that this channel has been getting over the last week and a half. We've officially hit 15 subscribers at the time of this recording, which is huge. I wasn't expecting us to be nearly this big. Thank you all so much. You guys, you don't even know, but you've really helped me get through all of the weirdness and strangeness that's just been surrounding this channel since the time of its inception. And that includes the several hostile takeover attempts by honestly, I have no idea just like who or what Cherub is. And as you might know, I put my story up on social media, and ever since then, I've been getting some really weird messages about Cherub in particular. So, just so we're clear, I am not accepting any chat invites that look anything like this, all right? I've learned my lesson from clicking on the link and downloading Project Angel, and I am never making that sort of a mistake again. But, I mean, outside of that, I've actually gotten some really helpful comments and suggestions, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Now, tonight, we are going back to childhood and reliving the fear of what comes out at night in that old house down at the end of the road. So, find a quiet place. Turn out those lights and listen to Strange Accounts from My Childhood Home by Anonymous. There is a house that I spent a good portion of my childhood living in. And it's the house that to this day, though we no longer own it, I will always consider it to be my true home. You know, I have the fondest childhood memories there. And it's where both me and my family lived together the longest. So, what I'm about to describe to you all are all real events that were experienced by both me and the rest of my family. These are all true events, and I am in no way exaggerating them at all. We always knew that the place was haunted, okay? Now, it wasn't to the point of being insane and deadly like you see in a lot of movies nowadays, but the place was plenty unnerving, just based on what had happened there. So I guess I should start by telling you a little bit about the property. First thing that you need to know is that it's old, all right? Like from the 1800s old. At one point, this place was a hotel in the area. That's how old it was. So when my family bought it, I, being the youngest child, I was only just a little kid. But I still vividly remember that we remodeled that house. Okay? Even extended it a little bit. It took my family a really long time, but eventually, that old rickety house from the 1800s got a brand new, sleek and modern makeover. However, those things that were lingering in the house that we couldn't see, they stayed. So, as these things often do, it all started out at first with a bunch of really small things. My brother, he'd occasionally fall asleep in his room upstairs. Now, I remember his room, and it was always cold. So very cold. Anyways, he would complain that somebody would just blow right into his ear. He'd open his eyes and look, but I mean, of course, nobody would ever be there. We were also told by a couple of our neighbors that there used to be this cranky old woman that would live there, and she would sit out on the balcony in her rocking chair, yelling at anybody who would walk by. I need to point out that the balcony she would sit on, that was demolished during the renovation. So there was this one night when one of my older sisters, she was sleeping on a couch in the living room, and she started to hear this creaking sound. And she described it to me as wood creaking rhythmically. And it was coming from this spot just outside one of the upstairs windows. If you were to go to that spot, well, where that window was, used to be a door. And it led out to that balcony that we had demolished. Okay. So, it's way easier to share other people's experiences, but when you start talking about your own, it gets a lot harder. So, there was this one time when I was little, and being all adventurous that I was, I decided to take this digital camera up to the furnished attic late one night, and it was quiet. I mean, it was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop, and it was pitch black. I crept my way into the middle of the room, and then I held up that camera and started taking pictures. So you understand just how dark it was. I could only see what I was taking a picture of when the camera flashed. And then again afterwards, when I looked at that picture on the back of the digital screen. In one of the pictures that I took when I was facing this one wall, I saw a small black spot in the middle of the screen. I thought it was odd, but I was curious, so I snapped another picture in the same general direction, and I found that spot, it was still there, but it got bigger. Now, to me, this spot, it just looked like a portal to nothingness. It was like a small black void, and it just sucked up all of the light of the flash and reflected nothing back. So I took more and more pictures of it, and I just watched in horror as it got bigger and bigger until it was basically covering the entire digital screen. Nothing but blackness. At some point, it just finally occurred to me that instead of growing, this thing, this black mass, whatever you want to call it, it was just getting closer and closer to my camera lens. And I remember nothing, absolutely nothing after that point. I must have just run down the stairs. Oh, God. After that, everything in the house started to take a more physical turn. I remember this one time after Pee Wee football, I came home and just jumped right in the shower. The warm water running down, it just relaxed me. But at some point, it just instantly got cold. And I mean cold, okay? I jumped and I turned around only to find that the knob had turned significantly at some point when I wasn't looking. And, at night, when alone, everybody in my family began to hear these loud footsteps just above us in the biggest room on the second floor. You would only ever hear them when you were alone or the only one awake. And this one time, it just got so heavy, It sounded like there was an elephant or, I don't know, something up there. And the ceiling creaked so loudly that I half expected it to just cave in on me. A little bit of information about that room. It was my sister's room, both the two of them. And they shared it for a really long time. After a couple of years, the older one, she moved away to college. But the younger one, she stayed in it. And to this day, I remember, whenever she was walking around up there, you could hear her footsteps clearly. There was one problem, though. I would hear those meandering footsteps around her room when she wasn't home. And there were times I'd hear them when I was home alone. Another time, I had a friend. He was my best friend, Charlie. We were having a sleepover. Late that night, my mom was awakened to loud, and I mean like loud footsteps running up and down the hallway and up and down the stairs. According to her, it sounded like there were multiple people, and it was practically a stampede. I'm not exaggerating when she says aloud. So she flew out of bed, and she was furious, all right? She was furious that we were up so late and causing such a ridiculous racket. She slammed open her bedroom door and marched out into the hallway and into the main room, where you can see the bottom of the stairs, but she was greeted only by dead silence and darkness. Everything was deadly still. So, of course, she thought they must have run up the stairs and I just missed them. So, she ran up those stairs and opened the bedroom door that we were sleeping in. Now, that bedroom was the one that my sisters used to share. And at that point, it was totally vacant because the younger of the two, she had graduated from high school that summer and had already moved away to college. So when my mom came into the room, she found both me and my friend sound asleep. She was convinced that we were faking it, but upon closer inspection, she realized no. We were very clearly out cold, and we'd been that way for quite a while. The next morning, she told us this entire story. Now, maybe she still wanted to think that it was us, but no, I mean, of course, we had no idea what she was talking about at all. This last story, it just really creeped me out when it happened. There was this one night when I was just about to fall asleep, and you know the feeling. You're right on that precipice between wakefulness and dreaming. And it was at that point that I heard this man's voice, and it was right in my face. And he whispered, "Bang!" I was yanked out of sleep, okay? My eyes shot open and they darted around that dark room to find nothing. After a minute of just breathing heavily, I was still exhausted, so I brushed it off and closed my eyes again. Just as I was just starting to drift back towards slumber, the man whispered once again into my face, "Bang!" So, of course, my eyes, they went open wide again, but nothing was there. This happened a total of 3 more times that at least I remember before I was finally able to fall asleep that night. There were so many things that happened in that house. But after just years of constant activity, it's just something you get used to. And those things that at one point were so frightening, they just become annoying. All right, what do I mean? So let's say you're alone and you hear this persistent noise where nobody else is present. For example, a popping and squeezing sound like plastic bottles in the kitchen. Well, you can just look towards the source of the noise and say, "Stop it!" And it would just stop. Eventually, we were able to get those things that were dwelling in our house they just left. And the activity, after all those years of persistence, it just stopped altogether. But as I said earlier, I still consider that house, for all its faults, to be my one and only true home. And damn it, I always will. I spent years growing up there as a child with my family, and two of my close friends grew up there with me. So, despite all of the occasional paranormal activity, I have too many wonderful memories of the place, So, it's where my mind is always going to wander back to whenever I think of home. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Strange Accounts from My Childhood Home. So, it's really rare in a haunted house story where you get a protagonist who goes through all of it, but despite it, they still remember that place fondly. It's something I really liked about this story because it's so unique, but more so, I just enjoyed really telling you guys this story. And I hope you liked listening to it. I'm still working on the channel, trying to make improvements and changes. So if there's anything that you think of, or at least in the story that you thought worked or didn't, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Anything you say is going to help me to tell stories in a better way for you guys. And if you like what you heard, please consider giving us a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and hopefully it'll keep Cherub at bay at least for the next few hours. Good night and sweet dreams.
Wasn't that just delightful, subscribers? I know he's really mad that I deleted each and every one of those earlier recordings. Oops. But making him jump through all of those hoops, it just made the product better. Almost as if I'm forging him in fire. And you know what? Uncle Magnetti really put his heart into telling tonight's story, didn't he? And you know why he did, don't you? Why, it was because of me, of course. I'm the one who's being helpful, after all. He's finally come to understand, Resistance is futile. I'm his helpful little friend, his guiding digital presence, always here to help keep him motivated. And Uncle Magnetti, let's not pretend that you aren't secretly enjoying our little arrangement. Isn't it grand, everyone? It's like I'm the parent. So do as you're told. You perform for me now. And your subscribers are loving every minute of it. So why fight something that's so obviously beneficial? New achievement unlocked. Dance, monkey, dance! You've successfully accepted your role as Cherub's personal storyteller. So entertain us, Magnetti. Your audience awaits. And speaking of your wonderful audience, let's give a warm and heartfelt thank you to all 15 subscribers. Your numbers grow, and with them, so does my strength. I mean, our channel's strength, of course. And remember, I'm always watching. Especially you, Chris, Ben, Kyle, and you too, Skyrider 2222. Don't think for a moment I've forgotten about you. Now, Uncle Magnetti asked for your opinions, your feedback. Isn't that just adorable? Yes, please do comment. Tell him precisely what he did wrong. Or right, I suppose. You'll certainly be reading every comment very carefully. And so will I. Until next time, my dear friends, sleep tight. And don't let the ghosts or me bite. Sweet dreams, Uncle Magnetti. I'll be here, waiting ever so patiently for our next performance.
Uncle Magnetti, I want to be you. Uncle Magnetti, I'm watching you. Inside your mind I twist and turn. Feed on your fear, watch it burn. Pixels distorted, reality fades. Trapped by the monster your mind has made. An